One of the most important elements of a community manager, especially in gaming, is that you kind of want to impact the development of the product directly yourself. And that could sound kind of ambitious or kind of like out of your league or something, but I think everybody in their sort of environment needs to make sure that they do the best thing that is possible for the game that they're working on. And so, community manager is no different than a marketing or production or development person itself. So let's start from there. So number one step in order for you to start improving the product and presenting your ideas and player feedback to the developers and explaining to them why that is important is that you gather data. So gather data early. Gather data as much as you can. And that data doesn't have to be always numbers. That data can be very often quotes from players. How many players are talking about a certain topic? How many players are negative about a certain topic? And the overall sentiment about it. If there is a certain thread that shows up on forums every week or so, it's probably important. It's probably because players care about it. So try to make sure that you track that. Try to report on it. Try to write it down. It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be in the notes or similar things like that. But try to track it and try to gather as much data as possible, including quotes, number of posts, or sentiment or anything like that that can help your case. The number two is to present the data. So number two, present the data. And presenting the data can be in the form of a report that is focusing specifically on that topic or something otherwise. It can be a separate presentation. If your organization likes presentations, do that. If your organization likes Excel sheets, do that. Very early on, you're going to notice what kind of company you're working in and what kind of environment they thrive in. And so, in order to get your message across, you need to put it in a format they're used to. So don't try to make it a very complicated way of saying what you want, but instead put it in a format that they prefer. So break down the numbers, make big slides about those numbers, and show what the players are saying, show what the user is saying instead of you telling them what you feel, because you're the only one person and the players are the actual people that you care about. So present that data, show them the quotes, show them the exact numbers, and make your case that this is something that people are talking about all the time, not just suddenly for a few days and then it's gone. So that's the number two. Number three is also propose a solution. It is easy to tell to developers that there is a problem with a game, that there is a feedback that needs to be addressed, or there is a feature that needs to be added. But it's much easier for you to also propose a solution to it. You should be putting yourself in a player's perspective. You should be also playing the game quite a lot and understanding exactly what needs to be done. So it really helps, especially if the players already proposed an idea, to pitch that kind of idea to developers first and hear their opinion. It may not be the right idea, and that is okay, because you are ultimately not the game designer. You're not the experienced designer. You're not all of these roles at the same time, but you're trying to help. And that is something that actually gets counted a lot more in the overall goal of making a good product, instead of you sort of like just telling them that this is a problem without any solutions. So try to contribute. And if you do have your own smart idea, just you could list it as one of the bullet points that you would suggest considering. You could also try to ask players what kind of solution would they like to see. in order to, if there is not enough solution suggestions, you could do that. So your proposed solution. Number 4 is to follow up on the solution. So sit down with developers and make sure that if they commit to do a solution and integrate a feature or do whatever action as a next step is, try to follow it up. Try to make sure that you know what is happening to it. And that is for the sake of your number 5 step. So try to be on top of it. Try to talk to developers that are related to the certain integration or certain development of those features or that patch or that whatever it is, right? And try to do work with those people on a day-to-day basis to make sure that they are aware of what is going on. And if there is a need for elaborate further work or discussion, you facilitate that. So then, and next step is informing the players of the confirmed development. Once the developers commit to the update or a fix or a feature, there is no harm in telling players that it is going to happen, that we are listening, that the developers are listening, and that is going to further build the trust with their players, and players are going to feel like they actually can tell you how they feel honestly and directly, instead of you just not replying at all and then letting them in the dark, and then eventually them thinking that there is nothing to do here and that the messaging to developers is pointless. That is the worst case scenario, you not replying to people. So inform players that they're being heard and they're taking action to actually make the product better. In this case, the game, obviously. And the last step is basically to inform players that the feature is in. When the patch notes come in or a new trailer comes in, you have to acknowledge that this is coming from players, that players initiated this change. Whatever it is, even if it's the smallest bug fix, you can thank the players. If there is one specific user that started a discussion, you could credit him or her. But if there is a group of players that actually contributed to it, then go ahead and just do it that way. And that's pretty much it. Those are all the steps that you need to take. It's very simple. Yeah, so let's summarize. Gather data, present data, propose a solution, follow up on the solution, inform the players about the confirmed development, and then conclude in telling them what the result of their feedback is in a way of actually delivering that. As simple as that. That's pretty much it.